It's time again for the Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.
Hi, I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
We're the Insiders. So, Scott, Milwaukee Public Schools, a lot of trouble lately, a lot of financial problems. The superintendent resigned. What's going on? What do you think? Where do you think we're headed?
Well, this obviously isn't the first time, right, Chuck? I mean, we have seen this movie again and again and again. And as a result of all this, there are calls for special commissions and changes in governance and all sorts of things at MPS. But I would point out that all those moments come and go, and the system that was built for the adults continues to move on, and it cheats the kids. The Milwaukee Public School system was not built to teach the children. It was built to satisfy the needs of adults, and we've seen it for decades here. Governor Thompson brought it up the other day, but I would point out that the first commission that I know of on this was Governor Tony Earl, a Democrat, who created a commission to figure out what do we do about the Milwaukee Public Schools. Then Tommy Thompson comes in and offers school choice, and then later suggests we should break up the Milwaukee Public Schools. In fact, I wrote a line in a speech for him that, a school district that can't count its kids can't teach its kids how to count. This is pretty much the same story 3 decades later. They can't seem to count how much money they have. No surprise they can't teach their children math. But then even Governor Doyle and the mayor call for a change in governance. It's just one thing after another. And what happens is these moments pop up, and then the adults who benefit from the system rally around it, and no change ever occurs. And the children are the losers again and again. We've been able to, I would say, rescue some of them with things like charter schools and like the choice schools that we have in Milwaukee, open enrollment that allows them to go to the suburbs. But it's time for a drastic answer, but I've yet to see a drastic answer get the political traction necessary to work, because it's very easy for people to say, that's racist. Oh, it's the suburbs beating up on the city. It's Republicans, all sorts of things like that. You would think at some point that people would say, this is really, really, really important for us to figure out how to give these kids, some of the least fortunate kids in our state, a better education.
I think it's a really important issue. And, Hubert Humphrey had a great quote, and I think it was actually before him, and that is, the measure of a society is how we treat those at the start of life, the children, how we treat those at the twilight of life, the senior citizens, and how we treat those in the shadow of life, the disabled and the sick. And the most important of those groups, by the way, is the children, because it's about their future. It's about our future. And we have to get this right. And we have to get public education right. My parents were both teachers. I cannot tell you the dedication that I saw in them. And I'll tell you what, there are teachers across this state who do wonderful things for young people. They deserve good governance. The good thing that I see is that we have a governor who has been focused on public education for his entire life. And I would hope and I believe that we'll get good decisions out of him and the other people that are involved. It's going to take a major effort. I think that the people in Milwaukee, the leadership in Milwaukee has to focus on this. The governor and the legislature have to do. I only hope that we don't allow this particular issue, because it is so essential. I hope we don't allow it to get stuck in the partisan bickering that goes on. There has to be something done. I agree with Scott. There have to be some changes made to make sure that this is done correctly in Milwaukee. But we've got to do it in a thoughtful way. And I hope that we're able to use this as an opportunity for our state, come together rather than to go to our corners and fight. And I hope that that works that way.
I would say one other thing, and that's that I don't think this fire is over. The board may thought, well, okay, we got rid of the head of the schools, and we got rid of the guy who was in charge of the numbers. But there'll be repercussions here. The federal government may withhold money for Head Start programs in Milwaukee. The state government will probably, well, it may penalize the district for its failure to have turned in all this information. people may wonder, gee, how did Jill Underly know about this problem for 9 months? And she's trying to now talk about all the actions they took to try to get this information. Well, why didn't she bring this to public light when they were asking, the local school district was asking everyone to raise their taxes because we don't have enough money? If they had known that the school district was wasting money, perhaps there was fraud, that they couldn't manage their money, they'd be really unlikely to have voted for that school referendum to give them more money until they could show that they knew how to manage the place. So I think there's successive scandals that will come out of this, or additional fires that will come out of this. But I don't want, I'm normally such an optimist in life, you know, it's part of the reason I've dedicated my life to trying to help poor kids get a better education. But I think the adults in Milwaukee have decided that the school district is there to give good jobs to people throughout the community, and they will rally to defend the school district and to get it more money rather than to get it changed so it provides a great education for kids.
You know, I know some people are teachers in Milwaukee, or were. I'm at that point where most of them are retired. And I know they're good people and I know they've been good teachers. But I'll tell you what, any person in a management position and including the school board in Milwaukee, should be looking very carefully at what they've done to make things better or make things worse over there. Because I think there are going to be a lot of changes that are going to be made over there, and rightfully so. And I don't think anyone should be looking at this as something that anything close to the status quo will work. Public education, you cannot have the largest school district you have in the state not functioning correctly for public education to be respected across the state. And that needs to be dealt with immediately in Milwaukee.
All right, we'll be talking about this one again, I think.
We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.